right. Pull up the agenda. Okay, it is 7:03 p.m. on Monday, November 13th, 2023. I am calling the Lunenburg Finance Committee meeting to order. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast. It's actually not being broadcast live over the Lunenburg Access channel, but it will go out on the YouTube channel after the meeting is over. The following information is provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link attached to the agenda, which can be found on the town website. The Zoom ID is 909-174-0347. This agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions, and because we are meeting remotely, that all votes will be a roll call vote. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. With that, this is going to be a relatively compact meeting just because we're trying to get a few things out of the way before special town meeting tomorrow. And to do so, we need to go over a couple of extra articles that were on here before. So I'd like to move into announcements first. Are there any announcements from the committee? Okay, the only announcement that I would have is we have a sixth member with us, finally. Dave Passios has come back again out of retirement. So I'd like to thank him for stepping up and joining the Finance Committee a day before he gets at least one meeting in before we have the full town meeting tomorrow night. But luckily, Dave has done this many times before, so I look forward to having some good conversation from him as well and some help with the budget season as we move forward. Is there any public comment from the committee tonight? Seeing none, any public comment from the public? All right, that moves us right on down. Town manager reports.
I didn't have a report for tonight, just to review the articles with the committee.
Perfect. I figured I would just throw it on there just in case. That's fine with me. All right, moving down to the old business. Let me pull up the most recent version of the town or the warrant article.
Evan, do you want to start with Article 1 with the charter changes?
Yeah, I'm just pulling them up. I'm pulling up the one that you had shared most recently. I just want to make sure I have the right one. There we go. Okay, just for everyone else, this is the consent calendar, which we're going to have ideally Articles 2, 7, and 8 on. We've already voted on Articles 7 and 8, so we'll be voting on Article 2 tonight to add that one to the consent calendar. So moving down to Article 1, this was one that we had passed over previously. Excuse me, we did not pass over. We actually recommended approval for the one. The one vote against, I believe, was Tom as a result of not actually having the number. So the article now reads, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $319,000 as follows to line number 13, reserve funds, the sum of $200,000 to line 13A, salary reserve, the sum of $99,000. To line 31, town clerk salary, the sum of $20,000 for a total increase of $319,000 in the amount raised and appropriated under Article 7 of the May 6, 2023 annual town meeting. Go right ahead, Madam Town Manager.
Okay. Can you actually pull up the, it's a chart. It shows the changes and it's a little easier to explain.
The last email that you had sent over.
Yes, it's
Yes.
PDF. It's the other one. It's
The other one from this, not this one.
Yeah. Yep, that's the revenue expense sheet, but
Yeah, the other one then. The only other one that I
oh,
have.
it was the other attachment for that from that email
Oh, got it.
right
Sorry,
there.
change it.
Okay. So there are a couple changes in the revenue projection. So new growth based on the updated new growth that the interim principal assessor has completed as far as new construction. There's estimated additional 200,000 from difference from our annual town meeting estimate of 200,000. So for a total of 400,000. And that's using a conservative number for new growth. The estimate that she came up with was around 484,000. But going on the conservative side, if any of the values change when the certification project is complete, we wanted to err on the side of caution there, because we do not want to be raising a deficit on a tax recap when the tax rate is set. So that's one change. Another change is from state aid. The estimate used at the annual town meeting was 119,000 lower. And after annual town meeting, the state budget was finalized. So that's a true number as far as additional state aid. So those are the areas of revenue projections that changed since the annual town meeting, where we have additional revenue to appropriate. We had a balance levy capacity at the end of town meeting of $9,772.70. So that goes towards the overall total of additional appropriation, allowable appropriation. The categories that I'm recommending to be the funds to be appropriated to are to the reserve fund, and that will just be additional buffer for the reserve fund for unanticipated expenses, including traditionally at the end of the year, we transfer funds out of that account to the snow and ice budget for that deficit at the end of the year. The other category is the salary reserve fund. This will help fund the FY24 clerical collective bargaining agreement and any other wage adjustments we do this year. And the town clerk's salary. A salary survey was done at the request of the select board chair, and the board reviewed that and agreed to add additional 20,000 to that line item based on the area comps that our salary for that, the town clerk, was severely under our comparables.
Thank you. I'll open up the committee. Any questions regarding that? Feel free to speak.
Heather, it's probably right here in front of me, but what was the original amount appropriated for the salary reserve account that we're supplementing to tomorrow night?
So it's in that first column.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
just for clarity to the salary reserve fund is made up of two sub-accounts. One is the traditional salary reserve for that we fund collective bargaining or any other wage adjustments out of. The other part of that is retirement buyback. So that was 30,000 out of the 130 for retirement buyback.
Okay, and if not depleted by July 1, it flows to free cash.
Correct. It would close out at the end of the fiscal year.
Just trying to get my brain back into the side of town. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the town manager on Article 1? Okay, so for this one, I'm a little unsure of how we want to proceed. In the fact that we have a new member here, and we're missing an old member as well, in terms of voting. So I guess, Dave, I'll at least ask of you, would you at this point, given that you're sort of really trying to get caught up right now, do you want us to kind of step through and have your vote be on this, or do you want to discuss it on town floor? What are you thinking for, what's your preference for how you would like your voice to be heard?
Yeah, I've been kind of hiding in the background, but I have been following this through, the last couple of months. So I think I'm up to date on this. Is just reading the spreadsheets and stuff. My eyes aren't following like it used to, very quickly grabbing numbers that I was looking for. So I think a revote on it at this point. At this point, we're deferred. Am I correct? Because the numbers
We
were
are not. We are recommending approval 4-1.
Oh, okay.
Dave, I just voted against it
it
because we didn't have the numbers, and we usually don't vote on it until we get the numbers. So, or
right.
we haven't in the times where I've been here. So
Yeah,
that was
so
all.
I don't think it's another vote is really going to change anything, except it's going to come from a slightly different group of people. Because basically, when the town moderator asked what the FinCom's decision was, it was already to approve. So that's not going to change.
Okay. So I think perhaps then what I'll do is, unless we are anything other than 4-1 or 5-0, I think we'll just sort of go through them and make sure that there isn't anything that's glaring that you're in disagreement with or agreement or anything that stands out. But if we are 3-2 or something to that effect, then I would like to have a vote for that, so that we at least have a defeat or a pass at that point for this evening. Okay, so what I'll do then is I'll just make note that we are maintaining the vote of recommending approval 4-1. Unless, Tom, would you prefer to?
It doesn't. I mean, does it look better if it's unanimous? In that case, I would, because I would vote for it now. But it's recommended either way.
That's sort of where I'm heading at, is that it does, I think it does look a little bit better, but I mean, the select board is deferring on this one anyways entirely. I think they're going to be the ones having the discussion. I think it's fine for us to just say we recommend approval 4-1. I think it's sufficient.
So the selectmen have a short meeting tomorrow right before town meeting, but they had already approved Article 2 in the consent calendar, which so they just didn't take the official vote at the last meeting.
Okay. All right. In that case, let's just get it out of the way quick and easy then. I think it's easy enough. I know what I've already spoken with Chris, and I have his opinions on the ones that he had voted against before. So I feel comfortable at least sort of defending his position for those ones. But for these ones, I'd like to have more of an up-to-date vote, I think, for this, at least for this one. So I would be happy to entertain a motion to either re-recommend approval or change our vote, I suppose, at this point.
For Article 1?
For Article 1, correct?
Okay, I'll recommend we approve Article 1.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that one? All right, so this will be a roll call vote. So just please, we are voting on the recommendation of approval. Mr. Simeoni,
Aye.
Ms. Russell,
Aye.
Mr. Passios,
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
and an aye from myself. So we are unanimous here.
5-0.
Are we able to say that we were unanimous 6-0 for this one because of Chris's vote previously, or are we erasing his votes before?
No, it's not a cumulative.
Right.
You
Okay.
know.
Okay.
It got full
All right.
support of the members that were present when it was voted.
Correct. Okay. All right. Moving on then to Article 2.
You want to go back to that chart of accounts, chart of changes, I'm sorry. That has that,
This one here.
no, the chart of changes.
Oh. Oh. Oh, Article 2. Yes. Okay.
It's you'll see prior year expense $1,423.52. We did discover an amount that was meant to be carried over at the end of the fiscal year, but was not. So that's what that is. It's wages that were supposed to be paid out for fiscal 23.
So Heather, that was expended before the end of the fiscal year, but not invoiced and paid?
It was it's wages related to fiscal 23, so it would have been a liability that the town would need to pay out, but
Right. Oh, okay, that's fine.
Any other discussion on this one?
Nope, I don't.
All right, so currently we are deferred on this one, but this is being recommended to be put in the consent calendar. So in order to do so, we would have to have a passing recommendation vote. I'm not saying that we have to pass the recommendation vote, but it'll just change things for town floor. But I am happy to entertain a vote, our motion for, again, to go over them. We have the option to recommend approval, recommend disapproval, defer, or find no direct financial impact.
I recommend approval.
Second.
Make a motion.
Okay. Recommend approval. Any discussion on the matter?
Just one quick one, Heather, where's this money coming from? Is this also from excess revenues as identified earlier?
correct. Right,
Okay.
so raise and appropriate.
Okay.
All right, a roll call vote to recommend approval. Mr. Simeoni,
Aye.
Ms. Russell,
Aye.
Mr. Passios,
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
and an aye from myself. We are unanimous on Article 2. Excellent. All right, Article 3 is the collective bargaining article that has actually been completed at this point. We originally had deferred on this one. I'm happy to talk through this one now. The article reads, I move that the town vote to transfer from Article 7 of the May 6, 2023 annual town meeting, line 13A, salary reserve, the sum of $58,431.03 to fund the first year of the FY24, FY25, and FY26 Lunenburg Municipal Employees Collective Bargaining Agreement dated July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026 with AFSCME Council 93.
All right. So as you stated, Mr. Chair, this agreement was finalized last week between both the select board and the bargaining unit, the clerical bargaining unit, AFSCME. And what I'll summarize the results. We tried to do comp analysis for every one of our bargaining units to make sure our employees are being paid fairly, which we did with this agreement as well. And we found, based on the 8 communities that we surveyed, that the positions within this bargaining unit were severely underpaid compared to their comparable positions in comparable towns. And anywhere between 8 and 20%, depending on the position. So the approach to this agreement was to try to close that gap over the 3 years. So there were cost of living adjustments of 2.5% each year of the agreement, and then market adjustments for each year of the agreement. So the first year, all the grades or positions within the unit, there was a market adjustment of 6%, which essentially it drops the first 2 steps on the grid, the pay range, and adds 2 steps on the end, and that equates to 6%. And in year 2 and 3, a 3% market adjustment each of those years for certain positions that were still underpaid compared to the comparable towns and positions. So not all grades received that market adjustment. And the first year impact is $58,431.03. And that's what this article asked town meeting to fund. That's the requirement, is to fund the first year of the bargaining agreement.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
I'll defer to anybody else, and then I do have one question about this agreement. Hearing no one else, I will ask my question. So I've been in conversation with people affected by this agreement for a number of months. As you know, I know everybody in town anyway, so I have multiple conversations. Please correct me if I'm bringing this forward incorrectly, but I understand that there's, and I'm actually happy that it's in there. I'm just wondering how it's going to be administered. My understanding is that there is a clause in there that if a contract employee under this agreement is asked or told to do work above and beyond their job description, that there will be some type of a compensation program. Who's going to be administering that part of the contract? And am I stating it correctly?
There is a work out of higher classification for a period of 4 weeks, minimum of 4 weeks. And it would be a determination made by the town, meaning town administration.
Okay, that's a sufficient answer. Thank you.
Just for my own clarification, what types of employees is this actually going to cover
Mhm.
for the town?
So it includes the assistant town clerk, assistant town accountant, assistant treasurer, assistant collector, the DPW executive assistant, the public safety coordinator, conservation administrator. I think I covered everyone. Administrative assistants.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Um,
Any other questions for Article 3?
The only other comment I'd make, Heather, would you agree that the cost of that is really difficult to quantify?
Which part?
That the payout under that clause of the contract, it's really not known how much that's going to affect the actual cost year over year of the contract. It's kind of like the police and fire with overtime. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it would be an unknown at this
Yeah.
point.
Okay, thank you.
Is it still within some form of control, though, in terms of allowing hours to get out of hand, or is it sort of a Wild West free-for-all?
Well, we always keep in mind the budget as far as any change.
Okay. Any other questions for Article 3? All right. We are currently deferred on the article, but I'm happy to entertain a motion to recommend something.
I'll recommend we approve Article 3.
Is there a second?
second,
All right, motion has been made and seconded to recommend approval. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Simeoni,
aye,
Ms. Russell,
aye,
Mr. Passios,
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
and an aye from myself. We are unanimous to recommend approval of Article 3.
That's all I had for tonight.
Okay. So given what we discussed with Article 1 and how that effectively erased Mr. Menard's vote, I'm now hesitant to go through the other ones and reconsider a vote where we were very close, because I don't want to discredit Mr. Menard's vote, but at the same time, I would like to consider Mr. Passios' vote.
Mr. Chair, I think it's prudent to let the votes stand as they are. Most of those were done at the later ones anyway, were done during the public hearing. I personally feel those should stand. I think everybody knows my position on all of the moneyed articles because I was at that hearing and I was rather boisterous in public comment, so on and so forth. And I agree. I don't think sitting here and changing the configuration of a vote in the 11th hour is appropriate. So I agree with leaving them alone.
Thank you. Any other considerations from anyone else in the committee?
I agree. I just leave it the way it is.
yeah, leave it the way it is.
Easy enough. I'm sure there'll be plenty of discussion on this article anyways, that I'm sure you'll be able to get recognition to speak Mr. Passios.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Just a little
They're never
side,
shy about speaking, so.
yeah,
True.
in a little side note during my reappointment hearing meeting, whatever you want to call it, after everything was said and done and the meeting was adjourned, I said, well, we just added an hour to the town meeting.
It was only a half an hour when we had our meeting for the pre-town meeting.
Right.
So it's good, it's going down. So looking over the rest of the articles that we have, we either have recommended approval already, we have a close enough vote. There's nothing else that we have deferred on anything else in the town warrant. So unless there's anything that anyone else would like to bring up specifically, I'm happy to just kind of go forward with what we have and leave it at that.
Yep,
I'll send out a revised motion sheet that has tonight's votes on them, so you have that for tomorrow in front of you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Let me switch back over to my agenda to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. So that would take us out of old business, moving into new business. As far as preparation for special town meeting, I don't really have all that much to kind of say for preparation. It's just it begins at 7 o'clock at the high school. I would encourage people to try and be there before 7:02 or anything like that. Miss Russell, we will be down in the front of the stage, so feel free. There'll be your name will already be out. I don't know who actually sets that up, but it's already all set up. So feel free to set yourself up down there. There's booklets that will already be down there and everything as well for you.
okay, thanks.
You're very welcome. And we still sign in the same as usual. So we go to the check-in, we get our little voter, and then we just head in. I'm gonna try to get there around 6:30, but it'll probably be closer to 6:45. with that, moves us down to public comment. Is there any other public comment in the committee tonight? Hearing none. Any
Nope.
public comment from the public?
Jay's got his hand up, Evan.
Jada? Oh,
Yep.
I do.
not that I see. Seeing none. All right, and nothing from the public as well. So thank you for being available for this last minute meeting, just to try and get these last few things on here. I appreciate people stepping in and just meeting for a quick half an hour. With that, I would happily entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Motions made by Mr. Simeoni and seconded by Mr. Gray. Any discussion? Excellent. Roll call vote. Mr. Simeoni,
Aye.
Ms. Russell,
Aye.
Mr. Pasquino,
I
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
and an aye from myself. We are unanimous. And at 7:33, we are adjourned.
gonna be
Thank
one
you
of the
again,
shortest
everyone.
meetings in a long time.
Oh, I like to run them very short, Dave.
Have a good night.
Setting time limit.
Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.